like to welcome you to another session of tips and tricks. In this session, we are going to explore the rectangular pattern, but instead of actually patterning a feature in either an X or a Y direction, we're actually going to utilize the rectangular pattern and pattern around a sketched curve. So I'm going to start by creating a sketch on this face to generate my loop of edges. So I'm going to start the sketch. I'm then going to use project geometry because I need to use the geometry for the outer extents of this model, so that then I can use the offset command to create the curved loop of edges that I require for the pattern command. So I'm going to start by projecting edges, and this time I'm going to use the select other option. So I'm going to hover over a specific edge. I'm then going to go down the select other menu and select the loop that I require to be projected through. Just finish that command off. I'm then going to utilize the offset command. Now, offset command will allow me to offset that full loop of edges. You just need to make sure that you have loop select turned on. So I'm then going to select the loop of edges, drag it in the direction I require, and place a dimension, like so. I might as well then utilize the same sketch to create the first point for the feature I'd like to create, the whole feature. So I'm going to select point from the create panel. I'm just going to zoom in and I'm going to place that point at a specific place along that new loop that I've created from the offset command. Okay, so I'm then going to finish the sketch. Then I'm going to apply the feature. So by selecting the whole command, it finds the point that I created in the previous sketch, and I'm just going to accept the defaults and create this 5mm hole. Now I want to utilize that sketch again, and that sketch has been consumed by hole 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the sketch, which then places that sketch above the feature and allows me to use the same sketch to create my next feature, which is going to be this rectangular curved pattern. So to start the rectangular pattern command, I'll go to the pattern panel and I'll select the rectangular pattern option. Inside here, I'm then going to pick the feature that I'd like to pattern around the curve. So I'm going to select from the model browser the whole. I then need to create a direction to tell the pattern command which direction is going to pattern that specific whole feature. So I'm going to select direction 1, and I'm then going to pick the sketch feature that I created using the offset command. You'll then notice that it places a little green arrow to show that that's the specific curve that's been selected for the direction. Now there's a little bit more I need to do there. So you may or may not have noticed that in the drop down here we have an option for curve length. When I select that curve length, it's telling Inventor that it's using the full length of this curved line geometry, and we're going to pattern, at the moment, this pattern in 2 instances around that curve, and you can see the preview that is generated here for the second instance. I need to add a few more commands to this specific pattern feature. So I'm going to expand the chevrons, and you'll notice then that we have a few more commands at the bottom. So start position for direction 1, I'm going to use the same start position as the hole that I generated, or at least the point that I created for the whole positioning. So I'm going to select that. For direction 2, however, I need to tell it to follow direction 1. So I'm going to select direction 1 as well. Now, by doing this, I've then set up this specific curved length rectangular pattern. So I can now tell it how many instances of this feature I'd like to pattern around that curve. Now I'm going to take this to the extreme, and I'm going to show you that I can pattern it 100 times. And yes, it's telling me that there's a large number of occurrences, but I'm just going to select OK, and you'll then notice that the preview is previewing a perfectly spaced pattern around the curve length that I generated in the previous sketch with 100 instances of that hole. I select OK and finalize the command. All I then have to do is right click on the sketch, turn off the visibility, and you can then see that I have this nicely spaced pattern around a curved loop.